Tom, do you think it's okay that we're this cozy with a foreign institution? If that flag was red with some yellow stars, you'll have a lot more beef than an Israel flag that they're holding up.
That's a China reference for anybody that's at home wondering. If you have an ally, I don't think anybody would be surprised to see that we're like linking arms. If this was a UK flag, people are not going to be tripping out about it. But there's an undercurrent whenever you're talking about Israel, the Jews, that there's something nefarious going on. David Kim will be playing that part today, ladies and gentlemen. I assure you, off camera, he is just asking questions. He's got a lot of questions, everybody. And I am very interested, and I think David really is sincere, but asks a lot of questions about like, okay, but what does this mean? Why throughout history do people end up turning on the Jews? Why is there pogroms? Why is this something that we see over and over and over? I feel like the answers to this stuff are so mundane and so in your face. The only thing that I don't like is this constant like turning it into a conspiracy. So this seems very simple to me. You have a religion that is insular. They do not proselytize. They are not going out. They are not trying to get other people into their religion. You have a group of people that reinforce their own community. So it's like, hey, I want to make sure that things are good for you, so I'm going to trade with you before I trade with the Goya or whatever they call Gentiles. If it's true, and it really does seem to be, that you have Ashkenazi Jews are a standard deviation higher in intellect, now you take those people, you put them into the regions that matter most, and anybody smart is very quickly going to put their finger on money. And so now, wisely, from where, like, I am literally trying to get everybody that can hear my voice to pay attention to economics. Economics is how you take back your power. So you've got a group that's like, oh, this game works. We're going to take back our power. Read about the Rothschilds. They end up just mapping out a fiscal playbook that is so brilliant that is like empire at the civilian level is probably the right way to think about it. And then they were just super clear-eyed about, hey, if you want to get things done, you've got to have relationships with politicians. Look at how the game is played, because this literally, when I look at that as a business guy, I'm like, yeah, that's smart. Your network is your net worth. Hopefully people have heard that a gazillion times. You hear me screaming from the rooftops. The reason that people are so disenfranchised today is precisely because they don't understand economics. Money in politics is horrible. The elites are going to be elites no matter what you try to do. Within the elites, there's going to be a group of elites. What I look at when I see this is a group of people that have gotten really good at playing this game. I guess the thing that people hate is that they try to do it secretly and they try to do it undercover. And like, I know at one point, like ChatGPT wouldn't even mention one of the Rothschild children. It's like, okay, that stuff starts getting super sus because I can feel you trying to be like, don't look over here. And in the age of social media, it's like, that's the one game people are not going to be able to play for long. Look, the game is knowable. Let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the game that they're playing. Figure out if we want to change the game. Hey, by all means, then let's talk about changing the game. But where everything goes when we start talking about the Jews is like evil conspiracies, they're the devil, this is all evil. And it's like, okay, that's reductive, as the kids like to say. And I'm just saying, pull this all out into the open. Everybody getting mad about Israel is a wild distraction from China. China's the game that matters. Xi is so much more adept than the Israels could ever hope to be. But how many wars has China pulled us into? So I'm like, okay, so let's drag all that out into the public. What is it that we want? Why do we think that we're being influenced? To me, it seems, and again, I don't have any proof or any data, but it just seems like very obvious that it's going to be money and dirt. Ask yourself, like, if people aren't banging the drum about China buying farmland next to military bases, like, I don't want to hear about Israel. You have one giant glowing orb of a problem, and that is Thucydides' trap is dragging you into a potential war for first place with China.
I guess that's why it is interesting to me, and I feel like the collective unconscious of culture is bubbling this up to the point where I'm like, I need to ask questions about it. I think you laid out their strategy. It works. We've obviously seen it through history. But when they get caught into this loop, I'm not old enough to kind of remember how America really felt about Israel. I feel like the older generation love Israel, but now we're starting to see this turn. And obviously I wasn't part of that turn, but now that I see it, I'm like, why is it happening now? Right? Like, again, it seems like America was
It's always going to happen in a populist moment. It's always going to happen when people feel economically insecure because you start asking, who's holding me down? You turn to the bankers, and if you see that Jews are disproportionately represented in banking, then all of a sudden you're going to be like, okay, cool, I've now got my enemy. I can't believe I'm about to say this because taken out of context, this is going to sound terrible. But if one were to read, I want to say this as awkwardly as I can so it can't be clipped out, the book Mein Kampf, you will suddenly realize this
that
is
bad.
a playbook. No. That
Not
it
good reads.
is a playbook. That it is very simple to go, oh, okay, cool. We need an enemy. These guys have worked historically. They're going to work again. I'm going to take Ukraine. And that's going to be the way that the German people get the American dream, where they can just expand into these farms. They can take them over. Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you correctly, Israel is just a Michael Jordan of lobbying. So while people feel some type of way about it, they're just really good at the game that is already set up.
Yeah. Stop lobbying then.
Yeah. But if we were going as hard with China, again, I'll bring that in. So if there was a U.S. delegation that went to China and we paid China $300 billion, I think the number was historically lifetime.
number one.
All those things, it'll be like, okay, yeah, cool. And then China's the best at it. Or if we did that same thing with,
I'm all for beef with Israel lobbying America, as long as we look at the full set of things that are going, so we can prioritize the things that we're going to have beef with. If you think China was a bunch of dumbasses that were like, oh, we just want to make your shit, like, let us help you, we're cheap, like, it'll be so good. They were like, okay, hold on. Fucking Mao finally died. This guy was a psychopath, but he unified China. Okay? So they're like, we feel good about that. We have suffered 100 years of humiliation. We're never going to do it again. Deng Xiaoping comes into power and goes, getting rich is fabulous. It doesn't matter if the cat is black or white, meaning it doesn't matter if it's communism or capitalism, as long as it catches mice, as long as it helps us get rich. He ushers in like this vision for this is how we're going to climb up, open themselves to the world markets, and the world floods in because it's cheap labor. And China's not thinking, oh my God, thank you so much. This really means the world to us. You guys are being so kind. They're like, bitch, we're going to steal everything. They're laughing at the rest of the world because they're like, these guys are actually letting us take on the entire globe's high-skilled manufacturing. This is wild. I am shocked that there aren't more eyes on China. Like, even as a content creator, I'm like, it's so easy to be like, the China story is not going to get anybody's attention. But if we talk about the Jews, baby, like, people are going to feel some kind of way.
chat calling you biased, bro.
Let's go.
Respectfully, why is Tom protecting Jewish people biasly while everyone else, example Russia, China, is getting blasted without a shred of data to back it up? Keep it objective, man.
There's another chat that says, I'm sorry, but Tom is clearly influenced. Israel isn't just happening to find dirt on politicians. They are manufacturing it, using children as bait. And then some people are bringing up that they have something to do with the Epstein files.
Okay, cool. Now what?
Wait, hold on. You can't just be like, yeah, that's cool.
Wait. Hold on.
I misheard you. All right. Sorry.
Are you guys in any way, shape, or form intimating that you think Israel is the only intelligence group that does dirty things?
No.
So is our actual beef with the fact that the way the world works is people will do the most evil, sinister, heinous
No one
stuff.
denies
Hold
that.
on, let me finish.
Okay.
To get what they want. No one
Agreed,
denies that,
agreed.
right?
Real
okay.
politic.
So now are we just saying, Tom, if you rank order the scumbags in the world, that we're saying, well, Israel's at the tippy top?
I'm not going to say that.
But that's what I'm asking. So people are saying, Tom, you're biased. What I'm trying to say is, you guys just
It
have your
just
eye on the
seems
wrong prize. I don't understand.
So you're saying what Israel's doing isn't a big deal. Let's focus
No,
on
I'm
Russia.
saying the world is a horrible, dangerous,
agree.
malicious place.
Nobody's
now
arguing that.
let's
Yep.
rank order that
Cool.
and talk about what is going to be the most problematic for the average American citizen. Who's going to be more problematic as you try to build a good future? Is it going to be Israel or is it going to be China? And anyone who thinks the answer to that question is Israel is out of their minds.
I think part of the disconnect is we say Israel's our ally. It's our strongest ally. We're back then. We have no treaties with them. We have no formal allyship with them. We have it with NATO, with our inflation adjusted. We have sent the most amount of money to any other foreign nation, Israel. We don't have any formal allyship. And at the same time, we have like people like Ted Cruz saying, oh yeah, they spy on us. It's fine. But hold up. Like your number one person you're giving all the money to, supposedly tied to Epstein and all the conspiracy stuff over there.
Yep.
And you're still like, yeah, that's our best ally. Like we're chill. Like that's where I think the disconnect is. Like you can't say they're my best friend. Oh, and they're also screwing me over this whole time. Like that causes the weirdness. If China's screwing us over, we understand that. Like we get that.
So
No one's
people's
saying
beef is that they're frenemies?
I don't know. Like maybe that's part of it, but it really does feel like it's a special treatment that they're getting that we don't give anyone else. That's what it feels like.
So anybody that's like, we need to stop giving special treatment to Israel, love it.
But none of the Congress agrees with you.
And they
We all Americans are like, yeah, America.
Do you hear
Don't
me
get special-
defending the behavior of Congress? Is that what I
How about
need to
this?
say
I
specifically?
hear that you're saying the public's not focused on the right problem,
Correct.
but you're just saying rank order priority.
Yes.
Right?
Dude,
Okay, yes, I need to clean my room. Yes, I smelled bad because I didn't shower in 3 days. But there is still moldy milk in the fridge, and we do need to talk about that moldy milk. I know I got to clean my room, and I know I need to take a shower, but there still is moldy milk in the fridge.
let me paint another picture.
Okay.
I come in your room, and it's a mess. And I'm like, Drew, you've got to start tidying up. We've got to start getting you to bed at 9 p.m. Like, you've got to get on a schedule. We've got to get daylight in your eyes. And by the way, can you please switch to Diet Coke? Stop drinking the stuff with all the sugar. But you can't hear me because you're freebasing heroin. And I haven't mentioned the fucking heroin problem. So what I'm saying is, your room being messy, who the fuck cares? You're freebasing heroin. Let's talk about the freebasing heroin. People do not understand the economic calamity that will be China overtaking the US. Cool, be upset with Israel. But when I hear that, to me, is like people screaming about your room not being clean. And admittedly, your room isn't clean, and that's terrible. And hey, it'd be great if you got that in order. But you have a way bigger problem. And so I'm like, how is it that people are this obsessed with that to the exclusion of this? If people spent 80% of their time talking about China, and then they moved over to Israel and were like, and I care very deeply about this, and we got to address this as well, I'd be like, yeah, cool, word. The balance feels way off.
Let's put it in
to me.
context, because again, let's say you're right, but if I assume that the reason we were in the Middle East and fought all those wars and spent $8 trillion,
Yep.
let's say it was tied, if not directly, but tangentially to Israel.
Okay, so
and they
you
feel like
think-
they're pulling the puppet string.
Yeah.
That feels different than a rival. I could deal with a rival. I like a rival. Let's
Let
push
me
against
ask,
that.
what do you think is more likely? That a country that we give a bunch of money to is pulling us into all these wars, and it's not us wanting oil. It's not us wanting access to their resources.
I can believe there can be two things at once. What I think the American people potentially don't like is it feels like we're being played like puppet strings. When we look back, we're like, actually, that wasn't worth it. Was there WMDs? Was there all these type of things? What was the actual
Love
reason
that.
behind
Yes.
all that?
Yeah. Yes, queen.
But it made 100% sense for Israel.
Love it.
We like the big
Yeah.
American bully. to
Stop
help
doing
us.
it. Yay. Now I'm like,
Okay, so
hey,
you actually understand where they're
guess
coming
who you
from?
might have a fucking kinetic war with? It isn't Israel. The people you might have a kinetic war with is China. Guess who's buying farmland around your military bases? It's China. Guess who's trying to put together a consortium to move away from the dollar? China. Guess who has a population that is so much bigger than you? China.
Who has
I'm not done. Guess who has an economy that on a purchasing power basis is bigger than yours? You're never going to
No
guess.
one's denying
It's China.
that they're our rival. We can deal with a rival.
What is happening?
Here's the thing, though.
So you think
You
there is
are
a unique danger coming from Israel that we don't have coming from China?
No.
I do. I can say yes.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The fact that they're cutting off state aid, if you boycott Israel, they're cutting off state aid.
It's wild.
Aid.
Crazy.
Yeah. So while China is a external fire, Israel is making us turn against each other.
Ooh, interesting.
Trump is exporting Americans. People
And we
who've
can
been here
unite
for
against the
decades.
external enemy. But once it's an ally that I don't know how to treat, but they're still screwing us over. But again, I don't know how. Maybe it is the small thorn in your side, but you feel it every day. While the other one, it's like, I can fight against that. I can get my sword. I can brandish it. We're all together. I can feel like that's the message. But this one is like, don't look here. I think the trickery, even though you might be right, China's the way bigger threat. Now, I can go down the whole China route of like, maybe the US is actually mapping China potentially wrong. I don't know if you want to go. That'll derail all of us. But just on that, you're just saying people can feel that emotion. I know why they feel the emotion, but please look at the right thing.
Yes. The way that I feel about the Israel thing is, ooh, yes, everybody's looking at the right thing. Amazing, 100%. These are the problems we need to solve. We need to untangle this. Don't let this be something that's swept under the rug. Pull it all out into the open. Who's donating money? How much are they trying to influence politics? At least when Elon does it, it's in broad daylight. And so if people were saying, look, we got to bring all this stuff out into the broad daylight. We can't have this. We've got this many people flying over to Israel. Why are we even doing this? None of this makes sense. But one thing as an entrepreneur that I'm constantly trying to get people to understand, your ability to prioritize is everything. And a person that does the right things in the wrong order is done. You will never scale your business. So what I'm saying is people, they're detecting a threat. But as I'm listening to you talk, the analogy that comes to mind is people view the Jewish problem as a parasite. It's something inside my body. And that's so creepy that people lose sight of the fact that they're actually being slowly suffocated to death by an anaconda. And so I'm like, this is wild. The person is literally, they're already wrapped up. But they're like, but I have a parasite inside of me, and that is so creepy and so body horror, I just like can't even deal with it. And I'm not saying that parasite, dealing with that isn't a problem. You need to deal with that. Why are all the people going over there? Why does APAC have so much influence? All of that stuff. Yeah, I think I have a very straightforward answer, which is people want the money. I'm way more afraid of Big Pharma than I am APAC. So it's like, and I'm not saying there's no energy for Big Pharma. There certainly is.
Yep.
But like the Jewish thing brings something out in people that I find really weird. And I would like people to really look at that, because there is some like itch that fucking scratches. And I see people go so ham on this, and it's like taking over culture. And I'm like, what is happening?
But I feel like if you just replace the Jewish people, I know some people are saying this, is like how many of our delegates and all these people have dual citizenship. Now, I'm like, it doesn't even have to be Israel. Let's switch it with China.
Yeah.
How comfortable would you be with how many of our delegates are either funded by, let's say, Chinese PACs, and they had a dual citizenship with
Love
China?
all this, yeah.
And again, they're on TV, and it's just a bunch of Chinese people being like, you should not invade Taiwan. By the way, we represent, like, you're saying, I 100% agree, but again, your main thing is let's focus on China.
Yes, I don't know, man. The whole Jewish thing just feels like aliens to me. It's like people trying to
the first time I let slide. This
is
is the second time you said like the whole Jewish thing. Do you think that this is the anti-Semitism that's being rampant? Do you think that that's clouding?
No, I don't think everybody that gets into this is anti-Semitic at all. I think that's a mismap. That would be another layer of obfuscation. I'm saying pull this front and center as something that has to do with the way that systems are set up. Money is super powerful. We've allowed money in politics. Networking is very powerful. You have a group that is access to huge amounts of capital, a wide diaspora. They work with each other. They understand the power of influence in politics. That's the game. Talk about it like that. It always becomes this like undercurrent of Donald Trump is a puppet to them and all that. And I'm like, that's where it gets weird. If you want to say, look, Donald Trump is just, he does whatever for money. He's going to do something wild for the Qataris. I guarantee it, because of the plane. Look at all the dumb stuff he does for the Jews because of all the money from APAC. Cool. Then it's like, yeah, we have a guy who responds way too much to money. Then we can talk about, look, the Jews are super good with weaponizing money. Okay, cool. Let's talk about the problem like that. What I don't hear is people really looking forward at the threats that we face. So the threats that we face right now are money printing and debt. So just be all about that. The threat that we face is China. Be all about that. And then like this idea that our politicians can have their heads turned by money is huge. And no doubt, let's talk about that. I'm just saying, bring all this stuff out into the light. Don't let it turn into like, it gets this weird, big emotional reaction for weird reasons.